I'm Bob Tallman, and I'm proud to be a part of 4-H nearly 61 years. I think I was born into it, but y'all have to understand something. I'm not a born Texan. I came from Nevada. And when I was a boy growing up, I went to a one-room schoolhouse, and I didn't know anything about 4-H. I didn't know anything about a lot of things that were real life until I moved to town at the age of 11. Now, you've got to understand this. I went to a one-room schoolhouse raised on the borderline of a Paiute Indian reservation by a mom and a dad, a great-grandmother, and a great-great-grandfather, and it was all horses and cows. So I guess I was in 4-H. Well, I'm sitting today at Tom and Mimi Dompierre's at Richmond, Texas, on one of the most beautiful land grants that you could have. And I think back of what I see today, what we have today, and what I want for tomorrow for our kids in 4-H, and it gives me a great, great opportunity. When I joined 4-H, it started a new career in my life that I didn't even know about. It was in the basement of the post office in downtown Winnemucca. I was 11 years old. Now remember, I hadn't been to town. There was no electricity. I'd never seen television till I was 12. 4-H gave me a new broadening of life. I was a little guy, so I didn't play football and sports. I didn't have a bicycle. Didn't know what recess was when you went to a one-room schoolhouse. But I want you to understand this. Within a year, I'd roped a Mustang Colt out in the desert, got him broke, and won a national championship to go to Chicago. Never been on an airplane except in an old Grumman Ag Cat where we used to chase wild horses and run Mustangs, and I stood behind the pilot with a shotgun to shoot the lead horses. Doesn't that sound horrific? There are no labels for that kind of lifestyle. 4-H gave me a label. It let me belong to something. It taught me records. It taught me going to meetings. It gave me a structure in life for a country kid that was raised 60 miles on a gravel road from no place else. Well, there aren't many kids raised like that anymore. Today we're in big cities. We have a multicultural opportunity to bring all kinds of kids of all ages, of all sizes and all creeds together, and teach them to work together as one. 4-H gave me that opportunity, but it was 20 years later before I realized it. When I went to Chicago, I had no idea what a big city was going to be like, and I wasn't even worried about it. When I came back, just a bigger city than where I came from. I lived in a town of 2,500. That was 2.5 million, or whatever it was then. 4-H took me there and brought me back. Now, here's the brunt of the story. In the rodeo business that I've been in, I've worked as an individual, and I've always had to be not a loner, but you've got to make your own path. In 4-H, I learned to walk alongside, lead others, be led by others. And kids today don't get that at home with mom and dad both working, whether they live in the country or live in the city. 4-H will give them a chance to go to a meeting, learn how to communicate, learn how to hone their work skills that they may not learn at home. It gives them a chance to work as a team and succeed, even if it's the slightest success that they may ever have. The little ones got the best start, okay? Because we have a chance to get our hands on them and get in their hearts and their minds and bring them up. And the future people that will sit in the chairs we sit in need to come together and reach out farther. Every time we reach out, we gather more kids. But I think it's as good for the parents as it is the kids. Do you know how many parents don't have a chance to function with their children? They go to places and they're soccer moms, and they're just excited to be there, and then they run and do the groceries while the kids are playing and somebody else is watching them. In 4-H, the parents can come. We can put families back together. That's what America's losing today. Everybody's going so fast, and they're getting nowhere in a hurry. 4-H can unify all of that. 20 years ago, after working in Texas for 15 years before that, I came to Texas with 4-H in my heart and on my mind. You say, how is that? Were you a leader? Well, I was a 4-H leader till nearly the age of 40, and that was 21 years ago. I came to Texas with a buck and bull industry called Buckers Incorporated. I wanted a Texas address because I knew they wouldn't buy it where I used to live in Oregon. But if you're in Texas, it's got to be good. What I brought was my record keeping and opportunities to create a foundation, a structure of a business to raise buck and bulls, and my record keeping taught me how to build a registry. If I hadn't have been in 4-H and understood record keeping, I don't care what class you're in, I would have never known how to do that. Now, I have a fair college education. 4-H was the foundation of my education. 4-H taught me how to bring people together, convince people to stay together, and today it's one of the fastest growing registries of which I no longer own, and sold it to the PBR. By the way, they're pretty successful. And a lot of those kids are in 4-H that are in PBR. One of the biggest rodeos in the world, the richest indoor rodeo in the regular season at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. I have believed in my job there in more than just announcing the rodeo or doing pay-per-view television. I believe in youth and education. You've got to educate young kids. If you can raise a child, you can educate them. If you can educate them, we have new leaders. In 4-H, we talk about raising and building leaders. All of this is so important. But to the people I haven't met that'll be in this room that may see this someday, I believe it. And I believe in what we're doing. It's the only way to do it. Any of you have any doubt, whether on this ranch, your ranch, a ranch in South Dakota, a ranch in California, or in Montana, everybody needs to be in 4-H. Then, if they choose to be in the armed forces, they can do that. But they'll be a better soldier if they've been in 4-H. We build minds, bodies, and souls. After that, it's all up to God. Thanks to the Lord for giving me that blessing 50 years ago at the age of 11. Thanks to 4-H leaders and supporters. Oh, by the way, we can always use your support. Adios, my friends.